Hello, 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 calling up community. This is Claudia Alec, and today we will be doing one of our long form Twitter exchange reflections to further strengthen our ability to discuss justice online and also to learn from the example of others. I thank big old thanks to Kim Creighton, who introduced me to this conversation because I slipped into it on my time off when I was just chilling on Twitter and then got involved in some maximum drama. Oh my gosh, the online drama. It's juicy, and we're going to spill all the tea. Okay, that's not true. We're going to spill a little bit of it, and if you'd like to witness more of that tea being spilled, please visit the links below, because I don't want this video to be 35 minutes long. Okay, so this all began when I read what felt like an insincere apology to something. So then I went online and did a little bit of digging to find the initial inciting tweet, which was published by someone named Amy Knight, who works in the tech field, and she said, "Grateful I didn't start my programming journey in 2019. All these people pissed off, cussing, looking to start arguments in the name of empathy and diversity. You're literally scaring people from wanting to enter this industry by your behavior." Now, she has since deleted this tweet, but the ratio, the large number of responses to her were not in alignment or agreement. They were challenging her assessment with responses such as Stephanie L. Vaughn responded, "Amy Knight thinks advocates for D&I are a deterrent to the tech industry, not the gatekeeping, not undervaluation of candidates from non-traditional backgrounds, not the toxic attitudes which suggest we shouldn't be loud about the denial of our humanity because it isn't nice." So Amy deletes a bunch of her content. Then she publishes, "Reflecting. So if I'm quiet, please know that's why. My intent was to help a group that is not often heard since they are quiet and sometimes fearful to speak up. But of course, never at the expense of another group. I'm sorry for anyone I've hurt and truly wish all people the best." And I'll be honest, I read that and I was like, that does not feel like a sincere apology. That feels like a deletion of evidence and then a recontextualizing, redefining, recreation of the narrative into one that gives you alibi and allows you to feel good about yourself. So I asked a following up question, which was, am I reading this correctly? Is the group you were trying to help that's often not heard, quiet and fearful to speak up, people who are uncomfortable with dismantling systems of white domination and institutional racism? So you will see a bunch of screen caps below of other people who took photos of this guy, John Sonmez, because I posted that question thinking that I would get some kind of a response from Amy saying, "Oh no, this is what I meant. I was talking about helping this population," or perhaps Amy going, "Yeah, that's the exact population I'm trying to help," and maybe talking a little bit more about where she was coming from. Ultimately, though, John came in hard with a bunch of insulting language, and he was responding to every single person who was in that conversation. And so you'll see the screen caps below, and this is how he contextualized what he was doing. He said, "I've said a lot of odd things on Twitter recently. Why? Because this, my friends, is how you deal with SJWs. You troll the hell out of them, and they have no weapon they can use against you. Stop fighting them with logic. Just say inflammatory, illogical things to them." So this is John saying very clearly that if you are online advocating for social justice, he thinks that the best thing for him to do is to troll and harass you. Harass the hell out of you. And he recommends that other people do that too. He advocates for people to harass us online. That's what he's doing. And then he did that. He did a lot of harassment. So this was my response. Here for the ratio, I tweeted a clarifying question to Amy to better understand and suddenly got attacked by John's aggressive racist trolling. I did my hashtag calling up process before I decided to respond and was surprised to see he's very public about it. Usually a sad man trolling women, Black, Indigenous, people of color, and others exercising their free speech on matters of justice will have a sock puppet profile with very few followers, an avatar instead of a photo, and no links to anything that could identify them. Most trolls hide their identity because they know what they are doing is harassment and it's wrong. They fear negative social repercussions. It's concerning that this guy feels so comfortable publishing his harassment and bragging about doing it. What's this say about our field? So then Uncle Bob Martin publishes his reflections on this online exchange. Now, I'm not super familiar with most of the players in this conversation, except for Kim Creighton, because of her a wonderful work in terms of talking about racial diversity in the tech field. So Uncle Bob seems to be somebody who creates video collateral, audio collateral, culture-making documents. He speaks at conferences, he presents. So I would label both him and actually John as people who are cultural producers inside of the tech field. And they are people, white men, who are fighting to maintain the culture that they feel most comfortable in. So this was Uncle Bob's response. The cancel culture is in high dudgeon today. All the smug virtue signalers enjoying a bloody good pile-on. It is that culture, that toxic ideology that, in my estimation, deserves cancellation far more than their victims do. I responded, there is no such thing as cancel culture. This is a term anti-justice advocates use when they want to shut down community accountability. If someone publishes hateful, harassing content, it's appropriate for the community to state that that's unacceptable. So then, this drama's not done. So then, this white guy, he makes his own video. Now, apparently, he's friends with Amy, he's friends with John, but he prefaces for like 10 minutes about how, like, he's friends with them, but, like, he can see both sides. And basically, he's like, yo, people of color, you know, you need to, like, stop being so angry, and just, like, you know, police your tone. He tells it, he tone polices us. That's what the video is. But he also, compares Kim Creighton's tweets, where she's just saying some really basic things, to black people burning down stores during when they are like advocating for racial justice in their communities. So he's talking about violence that takes place during racial protests. He doesn't talk about white supremacists, for instance, running over Heather Heyer. Oh no, he's going to talk about black people burning down a store, and then he's going to use that as like an equivalency to all of us responding to, very mildly, honestly, responding to some of this language that Amy and John and Bob were spreading. Now, he apparently was requested by several people to cut off professional ties from John, since John was publicly harassing people. And he says in his video, I'm going to maintain my friendship with him. Here's the question, though. Is being friends with someone, does that require you to publish their speech and distribute it to your audience? Is being friends with someone, does that require you to maintain a professional relationship where you exchange business with each other? Is that what friendship is? And also, why are we talking about you maintaining your relationship with those folks when we should be talking about all of the black and brown people who get disenfranchised from the tech field because of this kind of nonsense? Because I know that initially, when I read that first tweet from Amy, I actually felt really good about the tech community because I saw all of the responses saying, hey girl, not that. And I thought to myself, right, this is a community that's going to maintain the kind of behaviors that keep it accessible and inclusive for all of us, and not reify white supremacy, male supremacy, and not try to mask that stuff and deny it. But then I got to see the ugly side, and then I got attacked. And then I got to see someone defending the guy who attacked it, and then he went even further. After he mentioned Martin Luther King, he suggested that John was doing that behavior. He didn't condone it, but he understood it. And he suggested that John was doing it to protect Amy. And it was because we had been attacking Amy. And you also note that Bob refers to us responding to her public statements as a pile-on. When the majority of the community says, nah, nah, like that thing you said about all of us isn't true. That's not a pile-on. That's them responding. That's just a response. That's just basic community accountability. She said something about the field, and the field said, no, that's not true for us. And then Bob published, oh yeah, yes it is. And John was like, yes, yes it is. And a few people liked what John said. So I know that those are people that I will not be safe with, and I should not collaborate with, that I should not invest my money with. So in this conversation, because this drama is still going on, Kim's still making awesome videos. She's been invited to enter into a debate, which I definitely don't recommend, because why would she want to expose her audience to misinformation and bad ideas? Why would she want to debate things that are not debatable? Anytime someone wants to invite you to debate your own humanity and your own ability to advocate for yourself, that's not a debate. What they're inviting you to do is to help them spread their bad message. So no, thank you. In this video, we have talked about tone policing. Below you will find a bunch of resources that explore that term and talk about it more, because that's what Amy was doing, that's what John was doing, it's kind of what Bob was doing, that's what whoever that dude is who made that other video, that's what he was doing. We're going to talk about civility. So there's some wonderful further reading on the idea of civility and how the term civility is often being weaponized and operationalized to silence people who are very civilly working to create the civil rights that we all need. And also there'll be a little bit about assuming good intent. And that's where I'm going to end this one on. Good intent. Oh, here's the thing. Intentions are hard to read, even for me, where I am doing an intense hours-long research project and dramaturgical assessment. I can't say exactly what is in Amy's head and heart, or even John, who actually does publish, this is what I intended to do, which makes it a little more readable. But ultimately, I can't read intent, but I can guess. And I can guess that Amy's intention was not to receive more negative feedback for her public statement. Her intention was to publish something that would cause people to continue to think of her as a nice person, to think of her as a good person, and for maybe she would get some affirmation for some of her ideas, or affirmation just for herself as a human being. So her intention was not to receive bad feedback to her. Is that good intent? If it's required for me to deny my own lived experience and to be silent in the face of someone saying some stuff that is ultimately supporting systems of white domination, is that a good intent or a bad intent? It does not matter. Impact matters. We can look at the statement. We can look at how people reacted to it. We can look at the impact of what this conversation is doing and the impact on the field. I agree with Kim, who posted a very affirmational video talking about how she had great hope for her field, that this was an inflection point, a turning point, that this was a moment where the field gets to make some choices and decisions. I myself am full of that same faith and hope that people will stop trying to maintain the status quo and comfort with the status quo, and be okay with being a little uncomfortable and getting through these growing pains as we grow to a place that has more equity and inclusion for all of us.